Hello guys and welcome back to a new video. If you will enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments to help me boost this video. Thanks. Story 1. The printer doesn't work. I get a call from a supervisor that is sitting at the desk of another supervisor while he is covering their department for the day. Sup? Yes, the printer is not working for some reason. Not sure what is wrong. I restarted it, but it is not working. I do not see the printer on the network any longer. Okay, let me finish this email, and I will come check it. Walk to the desk and look at the printer. No lights. Restart, still no lights. I know everything at this desk plugs into one power strip, and it is usually full with all of the gadgets on this desk. Other things plugged into the strip are working. I trace the plug from the printer, and the plug, of course, is unplugged. And the power is unplugged for some reason. Sup? Oh, here, plug it in here. He then unplugs his iPhone charger, where he had unplugged the printer, and plugged in his iPhone charger. I plugged back in the printer, and it begins to spit out jobs. Remember, the printer does need power to work. Story 2. The printer does his own thing again, but still he lives. Another part of the ongoing reprographic saga. Well, it's been eventful these last couple of months. Ofsted didn't fail us, and Mick remains suspended. I gave my care and feeding of MFP's speech to a couple of hundred grudging faculty. We're looking around for new printers for when our contract's up in October. All we have to do is keep Bob going till then. Unfortunately, he must know that, because he's not making things easy for us. It started, typically, with a minor fault with the inbuilt stapler this afternoon. It was kicking sheets out of alignment. All it needs is an engineer to perform a quick alignment, so we ring the non-emergency service number. Engineer comes out Thursday afternoon, adjusts the spindle assembly, and job done. Bob works all day Friday fine, and I shut up the office for the weekend with no inkling that the following Monday was gonna suck any more than usual. I arrive on Monday morning to find my boss swearing a blue streak at Bob, who is conspicuously broken, judging by the red service light on the upper section. Any job being sent through Bob causes his user interface, where we manually set the job up, to freeze. Then Bob crashes with an error code none of us have seen before and doesn't appear in his tech guide. This warrants a service call, who, once they're convinced this is a new issue, tell us this is a critical error and not to use the machine. Since Bob isn't usable anyway, we attempt to shut him down. One of the less user-friendly features about Bob is that doing so is software-based, rather than a hard switch. Trying to shut him down causes only a crash restart. The actual power button will not switch a machine off, only a powered down machine on. But holding it down mid-crash at least makes it go to sleep. Bob will not switch off if he has a red service light, and so it's business as usual till that afternoon, until an engineer from the MFP team comes for a gossip. He's not qualified to work on a high-performance diva like Bob, so we don't ask. But mid-cuppa he comments on what a pos Bob's model of printer is. To be honest, no one has a nice word to say about him. I guess we hurt Bob's feelings because he starts smelling properly hot. Engineer switches him off at the plug, and all is done to make sure that if it goes, then it won't take us with it by moving toner canisters and paper boxes away. Some paper we use requires prepping by storing it next to the machine for 24 hours. Lord knows why. On Tuesday morning, the high-performance engineer comes. He's never seen the error message before, runs some diagnostics, and fiddles a bit. Nothing happens. He then announces that Bob is dead. I grieved. I really did. Especially because we're getting into exam season. Some more diagnostics, and it's eventually worked out that it's only Bob's finisher that is dead. His external paper module and print drum appear to still have some function. Naturally, this has to be tested, so Bob's finisher unit is taken off and wheeled away to be dealt with in a moment. For reference, this unit alone is about 2 feet long, 4 feet high, and 2 feet wide. This leaves us with the paper module and the processing unit with a gaping hole where paper would normally travel through to the finisher. After cherry-picking a job that has no finishing, but a decent number of pages, we set it up. Luggins here myself has to crouch in front of the hole ready to catch the sheets as they come out. The author would like to inform you that this is a stupid idea. When the sheets were very hot, 2. The engineer admitted this wasn't health and safety friendly, and 3. The paper came out fast and went everywhere. Experiment over. He went back to knocking the finisher about. Fuses were replaced, the assemblies taken to bits, a lightly burnt board replaced. Nothing worked. Accounts of what HSE would say about a gaping hole in moving parts. The finisher is reconnected. And after 7 hours of work, and on the verge of giving up, the reconnected finisher springs to life after the engineer redownloads some firmware, somehow adjusting that spindle had deleted firmware to 1/3 of the machine, possibly with the help of the burning board. Engineer departs, calling Bob a finicky piece of work. Big mistake. He now repeatedly jams in the external paper module. We haven't called the engineer out because it's paper, and usually our problem. It's generally a stacking error. Some paper really does need to be stacked the right, shiny, way up, or isn't prepped, or hasn't been fanned properly to remove excess dust or glue. Where the raw paper is used cheapo 75 GSM rubbish. You get the picture. Basically, I'm finishing the day covered in white powder, and toner scratched to hell by being shoulder deep to unjam him. But Bob's still misbehaving, just not enough for my boss to authorize a call-out. He almost died this time, but we've still got till October to see what he throws at us this time. Story 3. I need bigger emails. I work for a tech company with a contract for a big, scary government agency. We manage multiple systems at LVL1 and triage escalations to other contractors for higher support for tens of thousands of users across the country. My calls can range from I forgot my password, and Skype can't find my camera, to troubleshooting backscatter X-ray rigs, the Wi-Fi on can't connect to the VPN, and configuring air traffic control tower access. At least once a week, I get calls from civil servants who forget where they work. This one was the latest. I had just finished raising a ticket to external troubleshooters about something serious, one where I had to call through to their management because it would affect industries in that part of the country for the next 72 hours. The moment I was halting my phone after to take lunch, I get a call from a mid-tier dumbass. Let's call him Dax. Dax, I need bigger email. FB, excuse me. Dax, I need bigger email because I need to send so many important reports and documents, and they're just so big they won't send. FB, okay. How big are these emails? Dax, I don't know, they're just clearly too big. And you know, it would be nice if I could send them all at once because. 3-minute story about whatever he was working on. During that time, I checked his account for locks and holds, any recent issues with the message exchange. It all came up clean. So, just for fun, I looked him up in the internal directory. He came up flagged as one of the kids in a graduate program. I'd seen them before. They get hired at a higher salary entry level with some extra individual responsibility. And after 2 years, they automatically get promoted to management of a small team without any greater responsibilities. FB, after he finished the story all right, I can see that that's very important. But how big was the last email you sent? Dax, Psi followed by silent beat 22 megabytes. And that's a small one. FB, the agency-wide mail send limit is 26 megabytes. No one can send any emails bigger than that. But something smelt fishy, so I remoted into his machine. Sure enough, there was the email with a 22 megabyte spreadsheet attached, and a 13 megabytes PDF and 15 megabytes document. He also had a signature block which used chunky external fonts, and a full resolution banner. A blank email was about 5 megabytes for this guy. FB, waving the cursor around the attachments, you're not allowed to do this. You need to send each of these as separate emails. Dax, I told you I need to send them all at once because they're really important, and they're already late because Lookout kept crashing when I'd send them one by one. FB, what? Dax, I need to send all of my files for each. FB, no. The part about Lookout crashing. Dax, yeah, it's been happening for weeks. You should know about it. Every time I attach something to an email, it crashes when I send it. This was exactly what had been happening during an agency-wide incident about a month before. Every branch was given instructions on how to resolve it, and every civil servant was expected to follow these instructions within 48 hours of it going out. So, while still remoted in, I searched for the email, and there it was. It was unread. FB, with the email open, if you'd have followed this 4 weeks ago, you wouldn't be having this problem. Dax, I don't read general mail. I figured one of you would come fix it eventually. CYA mode engaged. I made sure to include this exchange, and the fact he refused to do the fix for weeks in my ticket under the non-public notes for managers and other techs. And I took him through the 15-minute process of doing the fix, where I was interrupted by the following exchange twice. Dax, so when this is finished, I'll be able to send bigger emails, right? FB, we'll get to that. But I'm sure you can agree that to send big emails, you need to be able to send emails at all, right? When I sent him on his way, he still didn't understand the issue with the mail send size. Even after putting him onto the secure file transfer portal specifically for agents like him sending sensitive files to external actors, he kept asking me about what it had to do with giving him more email space. That particular civil servant never finished the graduate program and had an unexceptional career without promotion in the service, moving to another agency shortly after this call. Story 4. Jukebox Psychic Debugging. Scene, I'm sat in the corner of my then favorite pub, which sadly is no longer with us, a casualty of the whole lager lung jumblefuck. But alas, alack enjoying a pint of my usual, and reading a book. Something makes my background auditory processing perk, and raise an interrupt, and I start actually listening to what's going on around me. Turns out one of the other regulars is making some fairly audibly frustrated noises at the jukebox. Naturally, because now I'm curious and wondering if whatever it is I can get some being visibly entertained by his pain out of it. I amble over to his side to see what's up. Select a song from a previously chosen artist menu he's on is, to use the technical term, going fucking batshit. Or precisely, it's moving down through the available selections without any human interference whatsoever, and while hitting up does indeed make it go up once, it then returns to its endless march downwards. This is not, of course, entirely compatible with the desire to select a specific song. Worse still, it's evident that he put in money for multiple songs worth of credits, and has already selected several, so simply rebooting the bedamned contraption is going to have to be the last resort rather than the first. Mind if I have a go? Be my guest. I think I may have gone into troubleshooting mode enough to have just reached past him, but either way he figured I was his last best hope of getting the rest of the songs he wanted, and retaining the ones he'd already selected. So, step 0, let's try a softer form of turning it off and on again. I fast tap the back to browse button, or whatever it was called, until it bounces us back out to the artist's selection screen. The selected item sits there, answer, back into the song selection screen. Okay, so that didn't exactly work, but it's a clue. I'm not exactly glaring at the screen at this point, but I am staring at it with the sort of intensity that provides anybody with a clue with a strong hint that interrupting me at this moment is going to be at least one of futile and intensely annoying. My friend does, indeed, have a clue. He remains silent. Things we know. On the song select screen, the down operation is happening on repeat. The GUI loop isn't completely FUBAR, or hitting up wouldn't have worked, and most likely neither would have the go back button. The artist selection screen is just fine. Thank you very much. So it's not that down has got somehow locked in entirely globally. Oh dear. See, the thing here is that this is a cheap arse unit, and while the hardware is serviceable enough to sound fine through the pub's honestly not terrible speakers, at least, it's fairly safe to assume that the software was treated as a cost center. What if, and at this point I'm imagining the output of a remedial Java class here, what if there's only actually one set of state for this screen? So going back into it for whatever reason reuses that, and probably nobody ever thought to reset it first. And if it was cheapest development bid time, what if the underlying framework is more point and click than waft and tap, which means we're not thinking about code that detects tap for scroll down once and tap and hold for keep scrolling. So much as code that follows the desktop concept of on mouse down and on mouse up and the buttons code. And then the loop that's running the screen overall checks that to see if it should keep going down. And it's a one value in the program, sort of global, because only one of a given screen can be shown at once. And somehow it got the down event as my friend tapped the button, but missed the up event as his finger lifted back of it. Fits the available data, certainly. And if that's true, then all we really need is to ensure it gets an up event, and balance will be restored to the farce. I duly jab the down button vigorously, while thinking disgorge your secrets, recalcitrant machine spirit. The menu stays put. I wait while my friend selects a song, then goes back up a level, selects another artist, and selects another song. The menu stays put. A diagnosis of the underlying problem may, of course, have been lacking, but it appears that the remediation step it rendered has, in fact, worked. Close enough. I grin at my mate, receive a thank you whose accompanying grin absolutely encompasses his entirely correct assumption that I enjoyed doing that anyway, and wander back to my pint and book while he returns to finishing picking tracks. The track choices he made were, in fact, rather good. Story 5. A quadruple broken contract is actually impressive. So I'm working in governmental service, and we have a service agreement with another government agency. We are a state agency, and them a newly formed federal agency. So we provide support for them until it gets up and running, which hasn't happened for 2 years now. And every time someone from that federal agency calls, we are all annoyed because they see themselves as superior for some reason, and nobody likes to get yelled at, so we usually draw matches to figure out who must answer that call. That day, I was unlucky. It was one of their higher-ups in HR. Hello, how can I help you? You foo plus and hash idiots. Why do OESN't Mr. X have his PC yet? He can't work. Excuse me, who? I can't follow. The new one, you incompetent and hash divided by end. We don't know about a new employee at your site, so we'd need an official info. Given the foo plus hash divided by hardware. I can't do that without official information, according to Paragraph 12 of our cooperation contract. Also, I must advise you to calm down and consider Paragraph 36 of said 12 states the need for official information to get stuff. And 36 allows the one-sided cancellation of the service in case of a loss of professionality or threads towards somebody. Don't care. Do it, you. At that point, I just put him on hold, looked at my colleagues, who heard him scream through my phone across the room. I'll give him to the boss. I'm not getting paid enough for that shit. Back on the phone, sir. I'll put you through to our boss, and you can get that done with him. Half an hour later, out boss comes in and gives us the order to go and provide notebook, monitors, and so on. So I drive to their office, unlock the door. Our contract requires that we have direct access to any rooms containing our hardware. This will get important later, and carry my stuff inside, put it down, and go to their boss. Hello, here to provide the hardware for Mr. X. What? Who? Why didn't you announce yourself? He then physically shoved me out their office and slammed the door. Now annoyed, I just shrug and drive back to my office. My boss asked why I'm back so fast. I tell him the story, and he just rolls his eyes. I'll call them. A bit later, he orders us to go back the next day, already late on the current day, and finish the job. The next day, I'll drive there to find out that they let the locks get changed and I can't enter. My boss calls them again and gets the answer that we wouldn't be allowed in anymore because we would disturb their work. After that stupid phone call, we shut down their entire server rack. Their boss called me a minute later why nothing was working, and I told him that we shut everything down because a technician isn't able to access it, and we need to prevent overheating issues. Their server room is famous for about 60 degrees Celsius air temp because no AC, no windows, nothing, which actually breaks contract again, and protect our stuff. He begins to yell at me, threatens me, and I just put him to my boss. Few months later, I get sent back to their office, and because they didn't let us in, which voids our contract, and so we sued them. It took me and my colleagues 2 trailers, but now they don't have any hardware from us anymore. Story 6. Dancing Bears. Client called in to fix her Java issues, as she is unable to work. I fix her Java issues, and she is back to work. She calls in again to say things are not working again. She did this 5 times. Turned out dancing teddy bears needed a different version of Java, and they dance on the taskbar as she works. Installing that other Java version broke her ability to work, but she stated she needed her dancing teddy bears to dance so she can work. Cancel her ticket as she keeps breaking our version by installing her own version we do not support. Notified management of her issues and refused to support her. Management agrees and no longer need to support her.